The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the affluent neighborhood of Pacific Heights in San Francisco. The streets were lined with opulent mansions, each more grandiose than the last, their manicured lawns and pristine facades reflecting the wealth and privilege of their inhabitants. Yet, in stark contrast to this lavishness, Lily knelt beside a trash bin at the edge of a park, her fingers probing through the refuse for anything that could provide a semblance of nourishment for her and her daughter, Mia. Lily, a single mother in her early 30s, wore a worn-out jacket that had seen better days. Her hair, once vibrant, hung in disheveled strands around her face, which was marked by the fatigue of sleepless nights spent worrying about their next meal and a roof over their heads. Beside her, Mia, a bright-eyed girl of 6, clutched a ragged stuffed bear, her innocent gaze fixed on her mother with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Mommy, can we go home now?" Mia asked, her small voice breaking the silence as she watched her mother sift through the debris. "We will, sweetheart. Just a little longer. I promise," Lily replied, forcing a smile to reassure her daughter, though despair gnawed at her insides. She found a half-eaten sandwich, its bread stale but still intact. "Look, Mia, food," she said, attempting to inject enthusiasm into her tone. Mia's face lit up for a moment, but it quickly faded as she observed her mother's weary expression. "Can we have a real dinner soon?" Lily sighed softly, knowing that a real dinner felt like an unattainable luxury. "Yes, honey. Soon," she lied, knowing she had to keep hope alive for both of them. If you're enjoying this video and want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and activate the bell. That way, you won't miss any of our updates. Your support helps us bring you the best content possible. Continuing, just as she was about to discard the sandwich, a shadow fell over them. Lily looked up to see a tall, distinguished man standing beside her. Harold Prescott, an elderly millionaire known for his philanthropic endeavors, was an unexpected sight in this part of town. His silver hair gleamed in the fading light, and his tailored suit seemed out of place in the casual atmosphere of the park. "What are you doing in a place like this?" he asked, his voice a deep baritone, filled with concern. Lily straightened, instinctively pulling Mia closer. "Just looking for food," she admitted, her heart racing at the thought of being judged by someone like him. Harold's expression softened. "You shouldn't have to do this," he said, glancing at Mia, who was now staring at him with wide, innocent eyes. "There are better ways to find help." Lily bristled at the implication. "We're fine. We don't need charity," she retorted, her pride flaring up. "Charity is not what I'm offering," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "I have a garage that's empty. It's not much, but it's a roof. It could be a temporary shelter until you find your footing." Lily's heart raced. The offer was generous, but a part of her was wary. "Why would you want to help us?" "I believe in helping others when I can," he said, his voice firm yet gentle. "And it's not every day I see someone in such need." After a moment of hesitation, Lily glanced down at Mia, who looked hopeful yet uncertain. "What do you think, Mia?" she asked, seeking her daughter's input. Mia nodded eagerly. "I want to go, Mommy. Please." With a heavy heart, Lily considered the offer. She longed to provide a safe space for her daughter, yet doubt gnawed at her. Reluctantly, she nodded. "Okay, we'll accept your offer." "Good," Harold said, a hint of relief washing over his features. "Let's get you settled." As they followed Harold to his home, Lily glanced up at the grand mansion that loomed before them, its white pillars and sprawling gardens making her feel even more out of place. The contrast between their lives and this world of excess could not have been more stark. Once inside the garage, Lily was taken aback by the spaciousness. It was clean and surprisingly well-equipped, with a small kitchenette tucked in one corner and a sofa that looked inviting. A single window let in soft light, illuminating the space in a warm glow. "This is nice," Lily said, her voice barely above a whisper as she surveyed the surroundings. "I hope it will be comfortable for you," Harold replied, his demeanor reflecting a sincerity that eased her initial apprehensions. Mia bounded toward the sofa, tossing her stuffed bear onto it and plopping down beside it. "It's like a real house," she exclaimed, her laughter filling the air, and for a moment, the heaviness of their situation lifted. "Just for now," Lily reminded her gently, but the spark of joy in Mia's eyes was infectious. "Thank you, Harold," she said, turning to him. "It's my pleasure," he replied, though a flicker of something unreadable passed through his gaze. "Make yourselves at home. I'll be in the main house if you need anything." As he walked away, Lily's gratitude began to mingle with unease. She felt an inexplicable tension in the air, a sensation that something was amiss. She glanced around the garage, noting the quiet and the shadows that seemed to linger just beyond her line of sight. Days passed, and Lily and Mia settled into a routine. The garage provided them with shelter, and Harold often left food for them, though he rarely engaged in conversation. He spent most of his time in the main house, his presence becoming a distant echo in their daily lives. Yet, as time went on, Lily began to notice oddities. Harold frequently spoke to himself in hushed tones, his voice rising and falling in agitation. She would catch snippets of his conversations through the thin walls. Phrases like, "They can't know, and it's not what it seems," sent chills down her spine. One evening, she overheard him on the phone, his tone sharp and tense. "I told you to stay out of it. I don't care what they think," he barked, his frustration palpable. Lily's heart raced as she pressed her ear against the wall, straining to hear more. After he hung up, she felt a shiver run through her. The man who had offered them shelter was not just a benevolent benefactor. There was something deeper, something darker lurking beneath the surface of his generosity. "Mia, let's go for a walk," she suggested one afternoon, needing to escape the confines of the garage and the oppressive atmosphere it held. "Can we get ice cream?" Mia asked, her eyes shining with excitement. "Sure. Let's see if we can find some," Lily replied, forcing a smile. As they strolled through the neighborhood, Lily's thoughts were consumed with Harold and the secrets that seemed to surround him. She felt like a detective in a mystery, piecing together clues that hinted at a larger story. Returning home, she resolved to keep a closer eye on Harold. There was more to him than met the eye, more than the kind man who had offered them shelter. And as the days turned into weeks, Lily's instincts told her that she needed to uncover the truth. That night, as she lay on the sofa, the sounds of the city lulled Mia to sleep beside her. But sleep eluded Lily. She stared at the ceiling, her mind racing with possibilities. Harold Prescott was not just a millionaire. He was a man with a past, and she would find out what it was. The weight of the unknown pressed heavily on her, but for the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of determination. She would protect her daughter at all costs and uncover the secrets hidden in the shadows of Harold Prescott's life. Lily felt the weight of the world pressing down on her as she stood in the dimly lit garage. The musty scent of old wood mixed with the faint aroma of gasoline lingered in the air, creating a stark contrast to the crisp, clean lives of the wealthy families just outside. She had spent the past few days trying to adjust to the unexpected shelter that Harold Prescott had offered her and Mia, but the sense of gratitude was beginning to metamorphose into something else, an unsettling curiosity tinged with dread. As she rummaged through the belongings in the garage, sorting through the tools and boxes, something caught her eye. In the far corner, partially obscured by a dusty tarp, was a door that she had not noticed before. It was old and wooden, the paint chipped and faded, a stark contrast to the sleek, modern decor of the house above. Intrigued, Lily approached it, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Taking a deep breath, she reached for the doorknob, which felt cool beneath her fingers. Turning it slowly, she pushed the door open, revealing a small room that had clearly been untouched for years. The light from the garage spilled in, illuminating a treasure trove of old photographs and stacks of documents strewn haphazardly across a battered wooden table. Lily stepped inside, cautiously at first, her eyes scanning the room. The walls were lined with framed photographs, their glass surfaces clouded with age. Dust motes danced in the beams of light as she moved closer, her fingers brushing against the frames. One particular picture drew her in, a young woman with striking features, a familiar smile that sent a shiver down Lily's spine. She picked up the photograph, her breath hitching in her throat. The woman bore an uncanny resemblance to herself, and the date scribbled in the corner of the frame sent alarm bells ringing in her mind. It coincided with a tragic incident that had shaken San Francisco years ago, a story she had heard whispered among the homeless community but had never paid much attention to. "Mom!" Mia's voice broke through Lily's thoughts, pulling her back to reality. She turned to see her daughter standing at the threshold, her big brown eyes wide with concern. "What are you doing in there?" "Just looking at some old pictures," Lily replied, trying to keep her voice steady. She tucked the photograph behind her back, as if hiding it could somehow protect her from the implications it carried. "Can we go for a walk?" Mia asked, her small hands gripping the doorframe. "I don't like it here. It's spooky." "Sure, sweetheart." Lily forced a smile, though her mind was racing. She closed the door behind her, sealing away the unsettling discovery for the moment. "Let's get some fresh air." As they strolled along the quiet streets, the towering houses loomed over them like silent sentinels, their opulence mocking Lily's current situation. She felt an overwhelming urge to talk to Harold about the photograph, but the thought of confronting him filled her with trepidation. What if he reacted violently? What if he had secrets that were better left buried? Later that evening, as they settled down for the night in the garage, Lily's mind remained restless. The photograph burned a hole in her thoughts, and she knew she couldn't ignore it any longer. She needed answers. The following morning, she found Harold in the garden, tending to a patch of vibrant flowers that stood in stark contrast to the dreary surroundings of the garage. His back was turned to her, and for a moment, she hesitated, watching him work the soil with meticulous care. There was something almost soothing about the way he immersed himself in the task, but she couldn't let that distract her from the unsettling truth she had uncovered. "Harold," she called, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her stomach. He turned around, wiping his brow with the back of his hand, a smile breaking across his face. "Lily, good morning. How are you and Mia settling in?" His tone was warm, but there was an underlying tension that made her uneasy. "We're doing well, thank you," she replied, choosing her words carefully. "But I found something in the garage yesterday. I think we need to talk about it." His expression shifted slightly, the smile faltering as he put down his gardening tools. "Oh, what did you find?" Lily took a deep breath, her heart pounding. "A photograph. It's of a woman who looks a lot like me. And it's dated around the time of that tragic event you mentioned when we first met." Harold's eyes narrowed as he regarded her, the warmth in his demeanor fading. "I don't know what you're talking about, Lily. That was a long time ago. People change and so do their stories. Harold, this isn't just a story. There's a connection here, and I need you to be honest with me," she pressed, her voice gaining strength. "Who is she?" For a moment, he seemed lost in thought, his eyes flickering with something. Fear? Anger? It was hard to tell. "You're overthinking this. It's just an old photograph. No need to dig into the past. Why are you being so evasive?" Lily challenged, stepping closer. "I came to you for help, and I expect the same honesty in return." Suddenly, the air thickened with tension. Harold's demeanor shifted, and the genial facade he wore cracked, revealing a darker edge beneath. "Some things are better left alone, Lily. You wouldn't understand the consequences of what you're digging into." Lily recoiled slightly, taken aback by his sudden change in tone. "I deserve to know the truth, especially if it concerns my life and my daughter's safety." He took a step forward, his voice low and measured. "You're treading on dangerous ground. I've helped you, but don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I can't allow you to disrupt the delicate balance I've maintained for years." As he spoke, Lily felt a chill run down her spine. It was as if she had crossed an invisible line, awakening a monster that lurked beneath Harold's philanthropic exterior. She needed to gather her thoughts and plan her next move, but for now, she resolved to stay strong. That night, after Mia had fallen asleep, Lily found herself unable to rest. She sat on the edge of her makeshift bed, the photograph heavy in her pocket. She had always been resourceful, and now she needed to be clever. The truth felt just out of reach, and she was determined to uncover it, no matter the cost. The next morning, with newfound resolve, Lily set out to find help. There was a local journalist she had heard about from other residents in the area, Tom, known for his fearless investigations into the lives of the wealthy. If anyone could help her piece together Harold's past, it was him. Lily approached the quaint cafe where she had heard Tom often worked. The smell of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air as she stepped inside, scanning the room until her eyes landed on a man hunched over a laptop, a notepad scattered with notes beside him. "Tom," she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He looked up, his blue eyes piercing through the dim light. "That's me. Can I help you?" he replied, his tone professional yet warm. "I need your help," she said, her heart racing. "It's about a man named Harold Prescott. I think he's hiding something dark, and I need to know the truth." Tom leaned back in his chair, intrigued. "What do you know?" Taking a deep breath, Lily began to share her story, how she had come to stay with Harold, the strange behavior she had observed, and the haunting photograph that had drawn her into a web of mystery. She could see Tom's interest peaking as she spoke, his brow furrowing with concern. "Do you have any evidence?" he asked, his voice serious. "I found the photograph and I have my suspicions about his past. I'm scared of what he might do if he feels threatened," Lily admitted, her voice trembling with emotion. "All right," Tom said, jotting down notes. "Let's dig deeper into Harold's background. If he's as dangerous as you say, we need to tread carefully." Lily felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. With Tom's help, perhaps she could uncover the truth and protect Mia from whatever darkness lurked in Harold's past. Together, they would shine a light into the shadows, revealing the secrets that had long been hidden away. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the affluent neighborhood of San Francisco, Tom sat at his cluttered desk, flipping through a series of documents he'd printed from a local archive. The air was thick with anticipation, and the distant sounds of laughter from nearby homes contrasted sharply with the dark revelations he was piecing together about Harold Prescott. Each page turned revealed more unsettling connections, mysterious disappearances, whispers of hidden fortunes, and a trail of grief that extended far beyond Harold's seemingly benevolent facade. "Damn it," Tom muttered to himself, his brow furrowing as he scanned an article about a woman named Sarah, who had vanished over a decade ago. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance were murky at best, but the more Tom read, the more he felt the weight of the puzzle pressing down on him. He grabbed his phone and dialed Lily's number. "Hey Lily, it's Tom. I think I found something important," he said when she picked up, her voice still laced with the remnants of a long day. "What is it?" Lily asked, her tone shifting from fatigue to alertness. "There's a woman named Sarah. She was close to Harold, and she disappeared around the same time as that photograph you found. I think you need to see this," Tom explained, his heart racing as he anticipated her reaction. "Sarah, I remember the name. I saw it in a few of those old articles," Lily replied, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and curiosity. "What do you think happened to her?" "I'm not sure yet, but I suspect that Harold knows more than he's letting on." "We need to dig deeper," Tom replied, a sense of urgency creeping into his voice. "Meet me at the cafe on 5th Street in an hour. I'll bring everything I found." "Okay, I'll be there," Lily said, her mind racing as she hung up. She looked over at Mia, who was playing with a worn-out doll on the floor, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just outside their garage sanctuary. The sight of her daughter brought a rush of determination. Whatever secrets Harold was hiding, she would uncover them and protect Mia at all costs. As Lily made her way to the cafe, the bustling streets felt alive with energy, but she was lost in her thoughts. What kind of man was Harold? His charm and generosity were starting to feel like a well-crafted disguise, concealing something far more sinister. Arriving at the cafe, she spotted Tom at a corner table, his laptop open and papers strewn about. "Hey, Lily," Tom greeted her, gesturing for her to sit down. "I've been going through Harold's past, and it's more complicated than I thought." "What do you mean?" Lily asked, her eyes darting to the documents. Tom leaned in closer, lowering his voice. There were rumors about a hidden fortune connected to his family, especially after Sarah disappeared. Some say it was tied to her death, but there's no concrete evidence. Just whispers. Lily felt a chill run down her spine. You mean Harold could be involved? But why would he take me and Mia in? That's what we need to find out, Tom replied, pulling out a photo of Sarah from a stack of papers. This is her. Look at the resemblance. Lily studied the photograph, her heart racing as she noticed the striking similarities between herself and the woman in the picture. This can't be a coincidence, she whispered, feeling the weight of the revelation crashing down on her. Exactly, Tom said, his expression serious. I think Harold might see you as some sort of replacement or, I don't know, a way to relive whatever he lost. It's not healthy, Lily. You need to be careful. Careful, Lily echoed, her mind racing. What if he knows we're investigating? What if he comes after us? Tom's gaze turned steely. We need to gather more evidence. If we can find a direct link between Harold and Sarah's disappearance, we'll have something solid to confront him with. But until then, you need to keep your distance. Lily nodded, but the fear gnawed at her insides. She had already seen glimpses of Harold's darker side. His controlling nature, the way he would glare at her when she asked too many questions. She couldn't shake the feeling that danger lurked just beneath the surface. As they discussed their next steps, Lily's phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message from Harold. Asterisk, just checking in. Hope you and Mia are doing well. Asterisk, a shiver ran through her as she read the words. The casual tone felt eerily unsettling now that she was aware of the secrets he harbored. Everything okay? Tom asked, noticing her expression change. It's him. He's checking on us, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Don't respond. Just keep your head down and stay alert, Tom advised, his eyes scanning the cafe for any signs of danger. Lily took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. What if he's watching us right now? We need to assume that he is. Let's wrap this up and figure out a plan, Tom suggested, urgency in his voice. They spent the next hour poring over documents, piecing together the timeline of events surrounding Sarah's disappearance. Every new detail painted a more vivid picture of Harold's tumultuous past and the potential darkness that shadowed him. Okay, we need to find a way to get into his house without him knowing, Tom finally said, closing the laptop. If we can find anything related to Sarah, old letters, more photographs, anything, it could be the key to exposing him. Lily felt a rush of adrenaline at the thought. I could create an excuse to go into the main house. Maybe I can suggest we need to sort through some things for Mia. He might let me in without raising suspicion. Tom nodded. That could work. Just be careful and remember to keep your phone on you. If anything feels off, you need to get out of there. As they parted ways, Lily felt a mix of determination and dread. She had to confront Harold, not just for her sake, but for Mia's future. The shadows of his past loomed large, and she was determined to shine a light on the truth, no matter the cost. Back at the garage, Lily found Mia nestled in a pile of blankets, her doll clutched tightly in her small hands. The innocence of her daughter's sleeping face filled Lily with resolve. She would protect Mia, even if it meant delving into the depths of Harold Prescott's dark secrets. A knot of fear tightened in her stomach as she prepared to face the man who had opened his home to them. Little did she know that the very act of kindness would soon reveal a treacherous web of betrayal, manipulation, and danger that would change their lives forever. Lily sat quietly at the small table in the garage, her heart racing as she stared at the documents spread out before her. The dim light flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls, reflecting the turmoil that churned within her. Tom leaned over the papers, his brow furrowed in concentration. The evidence they had gathered about Harold Prescott was mounting, and with it, a sense of impending confrontation loomed. Lily, look at this, Tom said, pointing at an old newspaper clipping. This article mentions a woman named Sarah who disappeared years ago. Harold was involved in some charity event she was supposed to attend the night she went missing. Lily's pulse quickened as she recalled the photograph she had found tucked away in the garage. The resemblance was uncanny. Do you think he had something to do with it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Tom nodded slowly, his expression grave. It's possible. The more I dig into his past, the more I realize he has a history of being connected to tragedy. It's as if there's a shadow following him everywhere. As they continued to sift through the documents, a sense of dread settled in the pit of Lily's stomach. She glanced towards the garage door, half expecting Harold to burst through at any moment, sensing the danger they were plotting against him. We need to be careful, she warned. Harold is unpredictable. He's already shown he can be controlling, right? Tom agreed. We should plan our approach carefully. The last thing we want is to push him too far before we have enough evidence to take to the authorities. Just then, the sound of a key turning in the lock echoed through the garage, and both Lily and Tom froze. The door creaked open, revealing Harold with an ominous smile plastered across his face. "What are you two up to?" he asked, his tone casual but his eyes sharp with suspicion. Lily's heart raced as she exchanged a quick glance with Tom. They had been so engrossed in their investigation that they hadn't considered how to hide it from Harold. "Oh, just organizing some things," she replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Organizing, huh?" Harold stepped further into the garage, his gaze sweeping over the table. "It looks more like you're plotting something." Tom cleared his throat, attempting to deflect. "We were just discussing some ideas for a community project, Mr. Prescott. You know how passionate Lily is about helping others." Harold's expression hardened slightly, and Lily felt a chill run down her spine. "Is that so?" he said, his voice low and dangerous. "I hope you're not getting any bright ideas about leaving. I wouldn't want anything to happen to either of you." Lily's heart sank. The threat was clear, and she could sense the shift in the atmosphere. Tom, ever the journalist, stood his ground. "We're not going anywhere, Harold. We're just trying to figure things out." "Figure what out?" Harold asked, his tone now dangerously calm. "You think you can just snoop around in my life without consequences?" Lily felt the tension crackle in the air like a thunderstorm about to break. "We just want to know the truth," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "About Sarah and what happened to her." Harold's face darkened, and for a moment, the facade of the benevolent millionaire slipped away, revealing a man filled with rage and fear. "You don't know what you're meddling with," he growled, stepping closer. "You have no idea the lengths I've gone to protect what's mine." At that moment, Lily felt a surge of determination. "You're not going to intimidate us, Harold. We deserve to know the truth." Harold's lips curled into a mocking smile. "Truth? You think you're entitled to the truth? You've had a taste of my generosity, and now you want more." Lily stood her ground, her heart pounding in her chest. "You can't keep us here forever. We'll find a way out, and we'll make sure others know what you've done." The flicker of uncertainty crossed Harold's face, but it was quickly replaced by a cold, calculating expression. "You think you're clever, don't you? But let me remind you, I hold all the cards here. You and your daughter are nothing without me." As he turned to leave, Tom seized the moment. "We're going to expose you, Harold. You can't hide forever." Harold paused at the door, glancing back over his shoulder, his eyes narrowing. "You really think that? I'll show you what happens to those who cross me." With that, he disappeared into the shadows of the house, leaving Lily and Tom alone in the garage, the weight of his threat lingering in the air. Lily could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, mixing with fear and determination. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Tom took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "We need to act quickly. I have some connections at the newspaper who can help us investigate further. But we need to be careful. Harold is dangerous, and he's watching us." Lily nodded, her mind racing. "What about Mia? I can't let her get caught up in this. She has to be safe." "Agreed," Tom said. "We can't let Harold know what we're planning. We should keep things normal for her as much as possible. But we need a plan to get out of here." Lily's heart ached for her daughter. She wanted to protect Mia from the dark reality of their situation, but she also knew she had to be strong. "I'll talk to her," she said, resolve settling in. "I'll explain that we need to be smart and stay strong." but we have to come up with a way to escape. Later that evening, Lily sat on the edge of Mia's bed, the soft glow of the nightlight casting a warm hue in the small room. Mia was tucked under the covers, her eyes wide with innocence, unaware of the storm brewing outside their door. "Mama?" Mia asked sleepily, noticing the worry etched on her mother's face. "Is everything okay?" Lily forced a smile, though her heart ached. "Everything's fine, sweetheart. I just want to talk to you about something important." Mia propped herself up on her elbows, her curiosity piqued. "What is it?" Taking a deep breath, Lily carefully chose her words. "You know how we've been living here with Mr. Prescott? Well, things are a little complicated right now." Mia's brow furrowed. "Complicated how? We need to be very smart and brave, okay? Sometimes people can be not who they seem," Lily explained, trying to keep her tone light. "Mr. Prescott has some secrets, and it's important that we stay strong together." Mia's eyes widened. "Are we in danger?" Lily hesitated, not wanting to frighten her daughter, but knowing she needed to understand the gravity of their situation. "Not right now, but we have to be careful. We might need to leave soon, and I want you to be ready for anything." The little girl nodded, her expression serious. "I'll be brave, Mama. Promise." Lily felt a surge of pride mixed with sorrow. "I know you will, sweetheart, and we'll come up with a plan together. You and I, we're a team." As they whispered plans back and forth, Lily felt a sense of relief wash over her. They could do this, they just needed to be smart. As the night wore on, Lily's thoughts turned to Harold and the twisted games he played. She could sense that time was running out, and they needed to act before he closed in on them completely. The next day, as the sun rose over the wealthy neighborhood, Lily and Mia prepared for what lay ahead. Little did they know, Harold was already one step ahead, plotting his next move to ensnare them in his web of deceit. The stakes had never been higher, and the tension in the air was palpable as Lily and Tommy prepared to face the unknown. The sun dipped behind the hills, casting long shadows that stretched across the winding road leading to the secluded cabin. Lily sat in the passenger seat of Harold's luxury SUV, anxiety knotting her stomach as the city of San Francisco faded into the distance. She kept glancing at Harold, who was focused on the road ahead, his knuckles white against the steering wheel. The flickering light from the dashboard illuminated his sharp profile, revealing a man who seemed both charming and menacing in equal measure. "Are you okay, Lily?" he asked, his voice unexpectedly soft. "It's a long drive, I know, but I promise the cabin is worth it. You and Mia deserve a little getaway." "Yeah, I'm fine," she replied, forcing a smile. Inside, she was anything but fine. Her mind raced with thoughts of the photograph, the hidden room, and Tom, who was supposed to be digging deeper into Harold's past. She hoped that time would reveal more about the man who had offered them shelter but whose intentions felt increasingly sinister. As the car wound through the dense forest, the trees loomed like silent sentinels, their branches reaching out as if trying to warn her. She turned to Mia, who was nestled in the back seat, her small fingers clutching a worn-out teddy bear. The little girl's eyes sparkled with excitement, oblivious to the tension in the air. "Mommy, are we almost there?" she chirped, her voice a bright note in the oppressive atmosphere. "Soon, sweetheart," Lily replied, her heart aching at the innocence of her daughter. She wanted to protect Mia from the darkness lurking just beneath the surface of Harold's hospitality. "Just a little longer." "Good," Mia said, her enthusiasm unwavering. "I can't wait to see the cabin. Will there be a fireplace? And we can make s'mores, right?" "Of course," Harold interjected, glancing into the rearview mirror with a wide smile. "I've got everything we need. You'll love it, I promise." Lily's heart sank. She had learned that promises could be empty, especially when spoken by someone trying to veil their true intentions. As they continued down the winding road, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being led into a trap. When they finally arrived at the cabin, the sun had nearly set, and the air was thick with the smell of pine and damp earth. Harold parked the SUV and stepped out, gesturing for Lily and Mia to follow. The cabin was rustic yet imposing, its wooden exterior weathered and darkened by years of exposure to the elements. A faint light flickered from inside, casting eerie shadows on the porch. "Welcome," Harold said, a hint of pride in his voice. "Make yourselves at home." Lily hesitated at the entrance, her instincts screaming at her to turn back. But she couldn't show fear, not in front of Mia. With a deep breath, she stepped inside, her senses overwhelmed by the cozy yet oppressive atmosphere. The interior was adorned with antique furnishings and a large stone fireplace that dominated one wall. A soft rug lay on the floor, and a hefty wooden table stood in the center, surrounded by mismatched chairs. "Wow, it's beautiful," Mia exclaimed, running to the fireplace, her earlier worries forgotten. Harold chuckled, his eyes glimmering with something Lily couldn't quite place. "I knew you'd love it. I spent years collecting pieces to make it special." Lily forced a smile, but the room felt like a trap. She needed to find a way to contact Tom, to let him know where they were. As Harold busied himself unpacking supplies, she discreetly pulled out her phone, her heart racing. The signal was weak, but she managed to send a quick message to Tom. "At the cabin with Harold. Need help. Please be careful." Just as she hit send, she felt a presence behind her. Harold had turned, his expression unreadable. "What are you doing there, Lily?" "Just checking the time," she lied, tucking her phone away. "Good. We have a lot to discuss," he said, his tone shifting. "I want to share some stories about the cabin, about my past." Lily's pulse quickened. She was both intrigued and terrified. "Sure, I'd like that," she replied cautiously, trying to keep her voice steady. "Let's sit by the fire," he suggested, his eyes narrowing slightly. "It's much cozier there." Reluctantly, she followed him to the hearth, where he settled into a large armchair, gesturing for her to sit across from him. The flames danced, casting flickering shadows that seemed to twist and writhe on the walls. Mia curled up on the rug, her teddy bear clutched tightly as she watched the flames with fascination. Harold cleared his throat, his expression darkening. "You know, this cabin holds a lot of memories for me. It was a place of refuge, but also a place of loss." "What do you mean?" Lily asked, her curiosity piqued despite her unease. "Years ago, I brought someone here," he said, his voice low and measured. "Her name was Sarah. She was special to me, but she disappeared one night under circumstances that I've never fully understood." Lily's heart raced at the mention of Sarah. "What happened to her?" she pressed, unable to hide her interest. Harold leaned forward, his gaze intense. "Some say she ran away, that she didn't want to be with me anymore. But I know that isn't true. The truth is far more complicated." He paused, his expression twisting with emotion. "I've done everything to find her, to uncover what really happened. But the truth is buried deep, and some secrets are better left hidden." Lily felt a chill creep down her spine. "What do you mean by secrets?" His eyes locked onto hers, and for a moment, she saw a flicker of something dark and desperate in them. "We all have secrets, Lily. Some are just more dangerous than others. I've built my life on the remnants of lost dreams and shattered trust." She swallowed hard, the weight of his words pressing down on her. "But you said you cared for her. Why would you keep things hidden?" "Because sometimes the truth can ruin lives," he replied, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I did what I had to do to protect myself, to protect my wealth." As he spoke, Lily's mind raced back to the photograph she had found, the woman who looked so much like her. Was there a connection? Was Harold's twisted sense of protection rooted in something more sinister? Suddenly, a vibration interrupted her thoughts. Her phone buzzed against the floor, and before she could react, Harold's eyes darted to it. "What was that?" he asked, his voice sharp. "Nothing," she quickly replied, but her heart raced as she realized he had seen the screen light up. She had to act fast. "Mia, sweetheart, why don't you go check out the kitchen? See if there's anything you want to snack on." "Okay," Mia chirped, oblivious to the tension in the air as she scampered off. Lily seized the moment and discreetly reached for her phone. She could feel Harold's gaze boring into her, and her heart raced. She couldn't let him see her fear. Harold leaned back in his chair, an unsettling smile creeping onto his lips. "You're quite resourceful, Lily. But you should know that I don't take kindly to secrets." Lily's breath caught in her throat as she glanced at her phone. There was no signal, no way to reach Tom. Panic clawed at her insides. "Harold, I just want to understand. Why are you telling me all this now?" "Because," he said, his voice dropping to a low growl, "I need you to understand that there are consequences for digging too deep. People like me, we don't let go of what's ours." The atmosphere thickened with tension as Lily felt the weight of his words. She had stepped into a dangerous game, and the stakes were higher than she had anticipated. The flickering firelight cast shadows across Harold's face, revealing a man who was both charming and menacing, and she realized that the true nature of his generosity was far more complex and dangerous than she had ever imagined. As the flames crackled and the darkness enveloped them, Lily understood that she had to find a way out before it was too late. As the confrontation escalated, the air thick with tension and fear, Lily's heart raced. She felt cornered, her instincts screaming at her to protect Mia, who clung to her side, eyes wide with confusion and fear. Harold's face twisted with a mixture of anger and desperation, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. He had never looked more dangerous, and in that moment, she realized just how much she had underestimated him. Suddenly, the sound of tires crunching on gravel echoed outside the cabin, piercing through the thick atmosphere. Lily's breath hitched as she recognized the sound of Tom's car approaching. She had texted him only moments ago, her fingers trembling as she typed out a desperate plea for help. The arrival of Tom was her only hope, but would it be enough? The cabin door swung open, and Tom rushed in, his expression a mix of determination and urgency. He held a folder tightly in his hands, the evidence of Harold's dark past that he had painstakingly gathered. "Lily, are you okay?" he called out, scanning the room before his eyes landed on Harold, whose expression darkened further. "Get out, Tom," Harold shouted, his voice booming with authority. "You have no idea what you're getting into." "Actually, I do," Tom replied, his voice steady despite the palpable danger in the air. He stepped forward, brandishing the folder as if it were a shield. "I have everything I need to expose you, Harold. The truth about Sarah and everything else." Lily felt a rush of hope swell within her, but it was quickly overshadowed by the realization of the gravity of the situation. Harold's eyes flickered between the two of them, a predator assessing the threat. "You think you can just walk in here and play hero? You don't know who you're dealing with," he sneered, his voice low and dangerous. "Actually, I do know," Tom shot back, his tone unwavering. "You're a coward hiding behind your wealth and power. But that ends tonight." Lily's heart raced as Tom opened the folder, revealing photographs and documents that detailed Harold's past. Police reports, witness statements, and even records of a missing person case linked to Sarah. The evidence was damning, and she could see the color drain from Harold's face as he realized the walls were closing in. "Lily, you deserve to know the truth," Tom said, turning his attention back to her. "Harold was involved in Sarah's disappearance. He has kept secrets that could destroy lives, and he's been living in the shadows, using his money to silence anyone who gets too close." Lily felt a cold shiver run down her spine as Tom continued. Sarah was not just a friend to Harold. She was his obsession. When she tried to leave him, he couldn't let that happen. He made her disappear, and he's been covering it up ever since. "Stop!" Harold shouted, panic rising in his voice. "You don't know what you're saying. You think you're clever, but you're just digging your own grave." Lily's mind raced as she processed Tom's revelations. The photograph she had found suddenly took on a new weight. The resemblance to her was uncanny, and the date stamped on the back now felt like a ghost haunting her. "You did this, didn't you?" she breathed, her voice shaky but resolute. "You're responsible for Sarah's disappearance." Harold's expression shifted from anger to a cold, calculating calmness. "You think you can threaten me with this? I have resources, connections, people who will protect me." "You'll regret this," he hissed, his eyes narrowing. But Lily wasn't afraid anymore. The truth was a powerful weapon, and she had no intention of backing down. You're wrong, Harold. It's you who should be afraid. You're about to be exposed for the monster you are. In a surge of courage, Lily stepped forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with Tom. You can't intimidate me anymore. I won't let you control my life or Mia's. I'll make sure everyone knows who you really are. Harold's facade cracked, revealing a glimpse of the rage simmering beneath. You think you can just walk away? I've given you shelter, comfort. You owe me. His voice rose, echoing in the small cabin. Shelter? Comfort? Lily spat back, her voice gaining strength. You think you can buy people's loyalty with your money? That's not how it works. You're just a sad, desperate man hiding behind your wealth. Mia, sensing the rising tension, tugged at Lily's sleeve, her small voice shaking. Mommy, I'm scared. Lily knelt down, meeting her daughter's wide, frightened eyes. It's okay, sweetheart. I promise we're gonna be all right. Just stay close to me. She took a deep breath, steeling herself. Tom, call the police. We need to put an end to this. Already on it, Tom said, pulling out his phone, his eyes never leaving Harold. You won't get away with this, Harold. Not this time. As Tom dialed, the atmosphere in the cabin became electric with anticipation. Harold's expression shifted again, a flicker of desperation crossing his face. You're making a big mistake, Lily. You don't know what he's capable of. I know exactly what you're capable of, she replied, her voice steady. And I won't let you hurt anyone else. The sound of sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Harold's composure began to crack, and he took a step back, his eyes darting toward the door as if contemplating an escape. You think the police can save you? He spat, his voice dripping with venom. They'll believe me over you. I have money. I have influence. But Tom stood firm, his phone pressed to his ear. They're on their way, Harold. You can't run from the truth. In those tense moments, the cabin felt like a pressure cooker, the walls closing in on Harold as the weight of his past bore down upon him. When the door finally burst open and the police entered, guns drawn, Harold's bravado shattered completely. Harold Prescott, you're under arrest for the suspected kidnapping and disappearance of Sarah Collins, the officer announced, eyes locking onto Harold with a steely glare. Lily watched in disbelief as Harold's face twisted in fury and fear. This is insane. You can't do this. I'm a respected member of this community, he shouted, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Tom stepped back, allowing the officers to take control of the situation. As they cuffed Harold, Lily felt a mix of relief and triumph wash over her. Finally, the truth was coming to light, and Harold's reign of terror was coming to an end. As Harold was led away, he turned one last time, his eyes blazing with anger. You'll regret this, Lily. You've made a powerful enemy. But Lily stood tall, her fear melted away by a newfound strength. No, Harold, you're the one who's lost. You'll never hurt anyone else again. As the officers escorted Harold out of the cabin, a weight lifted from Lily's chest. She turned to Tom, gratitude swelling within her. Thank you for believing me. I couldn't have done this without you. Tom smiled, relief evident in his eyes. We did this together. You were incredibly brave, Lily. Mia, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, came to her mother's side, wrapping her small arms around her waist. Are we safe now, Mommy? Lily knelt down, pulling Mia into a tight embrace. Yes, baby. We're safe now. We can start fresh, just you and me. As they stood together in the aftermath of chaos, Lily felt a deep sense of empowerment. They had faced down a monster and emerged victorious. The darkness of Harold's past would no longer haunt them. Instead, they could look forward to a brighter future, one filled with hope, love, and the promise of new beginnings. If you liked the content, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and share it with your friends. Your comment is essential for the growth of the channel. And look at this video that appears on the screen. See you soon.